Guys, in this video we're going to talk about how I made these animation in Blender. I'm going to cover every single step in this video, and yeah, it's not a very detailed video, but you will have a great understanding on how I did this. So I'm splitting this video into four parts, which is actually some of the basic one, but I think the great one. The first one is the concept art. Concept is very important before you start animating stuff. You have to have an overall understanding. Then we're going to create environment for our CG, and this is what it's a very essential part. And the third one is the actor, which is a car for this scene. It is very important. And the fourth one is animation. Well, in order to bring life to your video, you need to have some sort of animation in it, and that's where things gonna start coming into place. So let's begin it with concept art. So you don't need to be the professional artist or a painter to create your concept. You just need to create an overall idea or an overall environment where you're going to create, and all of those camera animation before you start animating object. You just need to have an overall idea where the camera will be moving, how it's going to be the speed, is it going to be a slower or a faster, and it's just so basic stuff. You can use uh, paint for this job, which is very good. So now it's time for environment. Well, for environment you can use Blender, and here you can see it's just a very simple cube model. In fact, I have made so many other small detailed object in order to add some detail into this cube. Well, they're very easy to make, and it's not going to take so much time. I just use some simple reference images to make all of this stuff. As you can see, it's a very simple model, but when we combine all of those model into one mesh, it's going to be very complicated. And as you can see, I have a reference in the right side of this, and as you can see, they're just similar to one another, and I have just created a UV from the view. And for this air conditioner model, it's also very simple. I just created a simple model, then use the UV unwrapped the texture over this mesh. And if I just load up the reference, as you can see, it's looking similar to that one, and this is what we made from a reference. And it's not so much complicated. You can just load an image, start modeling a simple mesh, then viewing on unwrap from the image, and that's it. And also this model, I have already have a picture of this model, and I just simply modeled a cube with just the same material as the reference image, and it's not very complicated, but it adds so much detail into your scene. Okay, so I have some more model here. This one, which is actually some wires going on with some buttons all around, some lights, and they're just very simple but add so much detail into the scene. And all of those model are like not from internet, not from Sketchfab, they're all modeled by me. Some of them from my previous video for Iron Man. You can also check it out. And now there are so many other models. After combining them together, I was having a very detailed mesh. If I just have a look on the detailed mesh here, here we go. If I turn this on, as you can see, they are all the same model, but they are combined in a better way to make a very complicated mesh. And if I just look at my assets, they're all the same asset but used again and again, and they're used to not show that they're copied again and again, but they're so simple. And as you can see, I have modeled this pipe from this image, and it is very powerful technique. I have already shown it in my previous video on how to create this kind of models in Blender. And you can also download the model from Sketchfab, which is a great way, which is a very faster way to make such environments. And but here's the question: how I made those wires in Blender? Well, they're just simple curves with just a simple material, which is actually a metal material, I think, but they are so simple to make. I will show you how I did this. Let me just click Shift A. I'm going to add a path curve, and I'm going to scale it up. I'm going to rotate it on Z axis on 90 degree. I'm going to move it towards Y axis, and if I go to its settings, I can increase the depth of these, and as you can see, it's doing its job. If I just move around with these vertices, it's doing its job, and this is what we want. And now you can just make any kind of shape from this curve. You can also add a simple material, which is kind of black material. It's not going to be noticed just from a far away shots. And you can also play around with the roughness. I think it's very smooth, and we need to make it rough, so just increase the roughness value. You can also add some sort of smaller details, like so if we look at the environment, they're just the same model, and yeah, they're so easy to make. And we just copied it again and again and again to make this sort of environment. It does look very complicated, but it's actually not. We have used the same technique to make the whole environment, and it's super fast and easy. Okay, guys, so if you just look at the camera's angle, you can see we have some sort of complicated. Okay, so now let's talk about the cars. The car model is downloaded from Sketchfab. You can just search for Bugatti Chiron and you will get some superb car there. They're really amazing. I have found this car to be very detailed from interior and exterior also. That's why I have one shot from the interior, which just looks really great. And there are some separate parts. So now it's time for this camera smooth animation. How to do it? Like literally it's looking very good. So let me just save the file and I'm gonna open a new file. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna add a cube. I'm gonna search for the cube and I'm going to add a camera here. I'm gonna move the camera slightly upward so it's facing the right direction. I'm gonna go to camera view and I'm going to slightly rotate it accordingly so we got a perfect view. So I'm gonna go to view, camera to view, and I'm going to align it so somewhere right here so we can see what is going on. Okay, let me just move it away slightly and I'm gonna increase the focal length so we do have a very cool axis or weave or a shot. I don't know what to say, but I'm gonna add an empty here. Add empty to the focus point, and I'm gonna select first the camera, then the empty. Control P to parent it to the empty. So now if you rotate the empty, it's going to rotate the camera also. So this is what we wanted. I'm gonna add a keyframe to the empty object for rotation, and I'm gonna go to frame number 70. I'm going to slightly rotate it, and again I'm gonna hit I and rotation keyframe. So if you play it, as you can see, we have a very small motion. I'm gonna add a keyframe interpolation to something like from Bezier to anything else, so it have a very constant motion. And let me just see, as you can see, we got a perfect motion. So I'm gonna hit Control Z and let's try another ways. Okay, so I'm gonna select the camera, go to camera constant tab. I'm gonna add a track to constant. I'm gonna select the target to be the empty. Now if you move the camera, it will have this smooth motion, and you can just add a keyframe into it to animate it. And I think you can get some cool animation with track to constant, and you can just try it out. As you can see, it's very smooth and I really love it. So now it's time for this car animation, which is pretty easy to make. So in order to do that, you just need a car. I'm gonna move the car slightly up to face the right direction and on a right position. I'm gonna add a location keyframe. I'm gonna move it to something like 120, and again I'm gonna make the ending frame to 120. I'm gonna move the car something like maybe we can move it some meters away like that, and maybe to here, and I'm gonna hit I for the location keyframe. So as you can see, in the beginning it is very slow, and at the middle it's faster, and at the end it's again slow. So in order to fix that, you gotta go to curve editor to fix this problem. It's because we have a busier interpolation. I'm gonna go to graph editor and I'm gonna slightly expand this window. If you click normalize, you can see everything fit into the room, and I don't need it. I'm going to turn this off. Okay, I'm gonna expand this shit, and I'm going to turn on the y-axis and turn off both of the other axes, so we just have one axis so we can work with. I'm going to select this handle, slightly move it so it will be very slow at the beginning, and when it moves along it will get faster, but for now let's try it out. Okay, so if we just select the other handle, let's move it slightly up so it faces very straight, and I'm going to slightly move this towards this direction. And if we just slightly move it towards here, I'm going to play it. Let's see what we get. So in the beginning it is very slow, and at the end it's going to be faster, and this is what we wanted. Maybe we can change it slightly more so we can have a little bit faster motion at the beginning, and then it does go constantly forward and increasing uniformly. So I think that's a good emotion, and I think we can just go for this motion. Maybe slightly we can decrease the velocity in the beginning, and at the end it's going to be a uniform speed, and this is what we wanted. So I'm gonna go to timeline again. Now it's time to animate those tires because without animating tires, it's not gonna look realistic. So I'm gonna select every one of them. So we gotta select all of them. I'm gonna change this to local, and I'm gonna turn on the gizmo. If you try to rotate it, as you can see, they are all rotating from the center. Let me just select all of them, change the transform pivot point to middle, individual origins, and if you just rotate one of them, if you just add a rotation keyframe at the beginning and another rotation, I'm gonna go to the ending of the video, and let's again we're going to rotate it on x-axis like that. And if you just trying to add a rotation keyframe, they're all rotating but they're extremely slow. So in order to make them faster, I'm just gonna see, as you can see, they're very slow, and this is what we don't want. So in order to fix it, I'm gonna move this keyframe into something like 40. So at the beginning it's going to be very faster, but when it moves, I'm just gonna change it to graph editor, and I'm gonna okay, so all of them are selected, so I'm just gonna click normalize so it fits in the windows. Okay, so I'm gonna select this handle first, and I'm gonna move it towards this direction slightly, so in the beginning it will be slower, but at the end it's going to be a uniform speed. So I'm just gonna try to align it with it, so we get some perfect motion, and it's not gonna be very, bad. So we're going to follow all of the physics rules, because at the beginning it's slow, at the end it's gonna be faster. Okay, I'm going to change the f curve extrapolation to linear extrapolation, and now what it does continuously moving, and it's never stop at all. So this is really, really scary. How I did it? By clicking shift E, I can just select linear extrapolation. Okay, so in the timeline, if you just have a look at the tires, at the beginning they're slow, but when it's moved along, it's getting faster and faster and faster until it dies. Okay, so I hope you got me. And it is constantly increasing, and I really like the animation. You can just go for this animation again, and I'm gonna add a plan into here so you can just see what is going on. In fact, okay, so if you just play it at the beginning, it's slower, but when it goes to the end, it's getting faster, and this is what we wanted. So guys, thanks for watching. If you want to get the same kind of content, you can follow along. You can like this video, share it with your friend, and thanks for watching.